My heart raced as I realized that my peaceful life was crumbling around me. It all began after a tumultuous breakup with my ex-boyfriend, Mark. At first, I expected the usual post-breakup blues, but it quickly spiraled into a nightmare. Mark's obsession with me became apparent when he started showing up at my workplace unannounced, often lurking in the shadows. He sent relentless messages and gifts, each one more disturbing than the last. His possessiveness escalated to a point where he had memorized my daily routine, showing up at my favorite coffee shop, the gym, and even outside my home. Nights were the worst. I'd wake up to the sound of someone breathing on the other end of the phone. When I reported it to the police, they said there wasn't enough evidence to take action. I installed security cameras, changed my locks, and began documenting every incident meticulously. One evening, I returned home to find my front door unlocked, and the unmistakable scent of Mark's cologne filled the air. My heart pounded as I realized he had been inside. This was the breaking point. I obtained a restraining order and hired a private investigator who uncovered a hidden cache of photos, messages, and journal entries that revealed Mark's deranged fixation. Mark's stalking ordeal would eventually land him behind bars, but the psychological scars from those terrifying months still haunt my every waking moment. The experience taught me the harrowing truth that sometimes the end of a relationship can trigger an obsession that morphs into a real-life horror story. In the age of the internet, the boundaries between real life and the virtual world can blur in unsettling ways. I learned this firsthand when I became the target of a relentless online stalker. It started innocuously enough. A series of anonymous messages on my social media accounts from an account with no picture or personal information. Initially, I dismissed them as harmless trolling, but the messages took a sinister turn. The stalker began sending graphic, threatening messages that left me deeply disturbed. They seemed to know everything about me, my daily routines, my friends, even details about my family. The sense of vulnerability was paralyzing. I tried blocking the accounts, but the stalker would resurface with a new alias each time. One day, I found a package at my doorstep containing a photograph of myself, taken without my knowledge, along with a chilling message that left no room for doubt. The stalker was not content with virtual harassment alone. I reported the incidents to the police, who initiated an investigation. They traced the IP address to an individual who lived several states away. It was terrifying to think that this online predator had been able to gather so much information about my life without my consent. The ordeal left me scarred, with a lingering fear of the dark corners of the internet and the anonymity it can provide to those who seek to terrorize others. I had learned that the virtual world could be just as dangerous as the physical one, and the line between the two could blur in unsettling ways. Living alone in a quaint apartment complex, I cherished the peace and solitude it provided. However, that peace was shattered when I became the target of an inexplicable stalker who seemed to appear out of thin air. It all began with subtle signs, a feeling of being watched, strange rustling noises outside my window at night, and cryptic notes left on my doorstep. These incidents gradually escalated, with my stalker leaving disturbing messages that hinted at an intimate knowledge of my life. The most chilling moments occurred when I would receive text messages from an unknown number, each one containing personal information that only a select few people knew. The messages grew increasingly explicit and threatening, casting a pall of terror over my daily existence. One night, as I was getting ready for bed, I heard a creaking sound coming from the closet. My heart pounded as I opened the door to find my stalker standing there, shrouded in darkness. Their identity remained concealed beneath a mask, and they fled into the night before I could react. I immediately reported the incident to the police, who launched an investigation but were unable to uncover any leads. I installed security cameras, changed my locks, and enlisted the help of a private investigator. Yet, the mysterious stranger continued to elude capture, leaving me trapped in a nightmarish existence. The relentless stalking has left me in a state of perpetual fear and anxiety, never knowing when or where the mysterious stranger might strike next. The chilling reality is that sometimes the boundaries between safety and terror can blur, and the presence of an unrelenting stalker can turn one's life into a living nightmare. Working in a bustling corporate office, I never expected that my daily routine would take a harrowing turn when I became the target of a sinister colleague with a deeply disturbing fixation. It all began innocuously. A new coworker named Sarah had joined our team. At first, she appeared friendly and personable, but as the days passed, her behavior grew increasingly unsettling. She started hovering around my desk, constantly asking personal questions and prying into my private life. Things took a sinister turn when she began following me outside of work. I would spot her waiting at the bus stop I frequented, and she'd often show up at the same cafes and restaurants I visited during my lunch breaks. The sense of intrusion was overwhelming, and I felt as though I was being watched every moment of the day. One evening, I received an email that left me paralyzed with fear. It contained a detailed account of my daily activities, complete with photographs taken without my knowledge. The sender remained anonymous, but the implication was clear. Someone was watching my every move. I confided in a trusted coworker who urged me to report the incidents to our supervisor and HR. As the situation escalated, the company initiated an internal investigation, and Sarah's unsettling actions were exposed. It turned out that she had been using company resources to track my movements and gather information about my personal life. Sarah was terminated, and a restraining order was issued against her. But the psychological trauma of being stalked by a colleague lingered long after she had been removed from my life. The experience served as a chilling reminder that sometimes danger can lurk in the most unexpected places, and the line between professional and personal life can blur in terrifying ways. My life took a dark and nightmarish turn when I found myself entangled in a twisted web of obsession that would change everything I knew about personal safety. It all began innocuously enough. I worked as a barista in a quaint cafe, and my cheerful demeanor attracted a variety of customers. Among them was a man named Richard. He initially seemed like any other customer, striking up friendly conversations while ordering his coffee. Little did I know that his fascination with me would spiral into a terrifying nightmare. Soon, I began to notice Richard's presence outside of the cafe. He would linger near my apartment building, sitting in his car for hours and watching my every move. He sent me letters, filled with flowery language professing his love and devotion. But beneath the romantic veneer, the letters contained veiled threats that sent shivers down my spine. I confided in my friends, who urged me to contact the police, but I hesitated, hoping that Richard's obsession would eventually wane. Instead, it intensified. He began sending explicit and disturbing gifts to my workplace and home, each one more unsettling than the last. Flowers arrived with ominous notes, and I knew I had to take action. One evening, as I was returning home, I noticed that my apartment door was ajar. Panic surged through me as I realized that Richard had somehow gained access to my home. Inside, I found evidence of his presence. Photographs of me sleeping, personal items rearranged, and a chilling message scrawled on the mirror. With trembling hands, I contacted the police, who arrived promptly and began an investigation. They uncovered a cache of evidence that revealed the extent of Richard's obsession, from his meticulously maintained diaries detailing my daily routines to disturbing photographs taken without my knowledge. With the authorities involved, Richard was apprehended and charged with stalking and harassment. The legal system provided some relief, but the psychological scars from those harrowing months remained. The ordeal had shattered my sense of security and left me perpetually looking over my shoulder. The terrifying admirer had shown me the darkest depths of human obsession, a chilling reminder that sometimes danger can lurk in the most unexpected places, and the boundaries between admirer and stalker can blur in terrifying and life-altering ways.